It's Sarah from the HBA here, and we are here to learn more about a great program through the South Carolina Technical College system called Apprenticeship Carolina. I'm going to introduce you first to the Workforce Task Force Chairperson, Linda Klingman of HR Coastal, who's going to tell us a little bit more about both herself and her company, and then about Apprenticeship Carolina, and our honored speaker, Amy Firestone, who is a Vice President of Apprenticeship Carolina.
Hi, this is Linda Klingman. As Sarah said, I do chair the Workforce Development Task Force that has been working since last August. And we have started a number of initiatives, and hopefully they will continue to grow after we get past the little pause that we have in our lives at the present time. I also own HR Coastal, which is a human resources consulting firm, and I work with small businesses, helping them to be compliant with federal and state laws. What I'd like to do right now is introduce our guest speaker, who we are delighted to have today. This is Dr. Amy Firestone. Dr. Firestone is the Vice President of Apprenticeship Carolina for the South Carolina Technical College system. She leads a multidisciplinary team of consultants in expanding youth and adult apprenticeships across the state. Earlier this year, Dr. Firestone was chosen for and participated in the prestigious Fulbright grant to advise the Chamber of Commerce in Columbia on developing its apprenticeships. Before joining the Apprenticeship Carolina team, Dr. Firestone served as the Dean of Continuing Education and Professional Development at Miami-Dade College, the largest community college in the nation. As Dean, she led 8 campuses in adult education, workforce education, corporate training, and recreation and leisure initiatives. Prior to Miami-Dade College, Dr. Firestone made headlines as the Senior Advisor on Education in the Office of Apprenticeship for the United States Department of Labor. She led the Department of Labor's Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium, consisting of more than 400 colleges nationwide, and led the nation's youth apprenticeship policy development. Dr. Firestone's pilot program of STEM youth apprenticeships has become so successful that it is currently implemented in 17 states. Dr. Firestone earned a bachelor's degree in Hispanic Studies from the College of William and Mary. She earned a master's degree in Latin American Studies and a doctoral degree in Spanish sociolinguistics from the University of Illinois. Go Illini's.
I'm an for everyone that was.
She also published a book on urban youth in Peru entitled Caminos El Quecha. I'm sorry. Language and Identity Among Urban Youth in Peru. Her book is available in the collections of Ivy League universities, such as Princeton and Stanford, and is available for purchase in Latin America and Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Amy Firestone.
Well, thank you very much for that very, very kind introduction, Linda, and thanks to the HBA, Sarah and Meg, for inviting me to be part of this very exciting talk. I know we have some minutes to talk about registered apprenticeships, Apprenticeship Carolina, and how this could be a solution for you during this very challenging time, and how you can get planning on registered apprenticeship. So I wanted to start out and mention to you, when you're having these casual conversations around the house, you might talk to your relatives, your children, your friends about the most favorite job you've had in your life. And usually the one thing that comes to mind is a person, not really the job, but I loved a certain supervisor, or I loved a certain mentor. And so that is something that really helps individuals distinguish jobs that they love and jobs that they hate. Well, I wanted to tell you that registered apprenticeship is a model that helps provide a long-term pathway for individuals 16 and up, in which a mentor is there to support the individual from A to Z. From the beginning, the first day when they walk in the door and they don't know anything about the company, about the job, about who their colleagues are, how to work in a certain environment, under the supervision of that mentor, that is that person who is able to guide an individual through this program and bring them in as part of the company's culture. And so I just wanted to start with that to mention that registered apprenticeship offers unique components that other training programs do not. And when you think about jobs that you love, places where you want to stay for the rest of your life, you remember that one person, that mentor, and how they brought you in under their wings to really appreciate the job, the culture, and the mission of the organization. So I wanted to start with that. Now, Apprenticeship Carolina is recognized in the United States as a premier organization based out of the South Carolina Technical College system that works directly with companies without charging a penny to develop registered apprenticeship programs for youth and adults. We collaborate with all 16 technical colleges located around the state to develop programs across a wide range of industries. And Sarah, if you don't mind showing a fact sheet that I have. Oh, thank you, wonderful. So as I speak a little bit more about Apprenticeship Carolina, the South Carolina Technical College System and Registered Apprenticeship, I wanted to show you our infographic here. Registered apprenticeships have been done throughout the state in all of the industries that you see on this fact sheet. We've had a lot of success with advanced manufacturing. Over a third of our apprenticeships are in this industry, as well as construction technologies, energy, healthcare, IT, tourism, transportation, and many other industries. You can see we've had over 33,000 registered apprentices, and since the beginning of Apprenticeship Carolina in 2007, almost 1,060 registered programs, and those are in all those industries that I just mentioned, and 232 registered youth programs. That is a very large number, and it's probably one of the largest in the United States. So we do have a very good infrastructure here in South Carolina to support companies and help them navigate the best training program in terms of what skills are needed to have a competent worker in different occupations, and make sure their program is up and running with the support of the local technical college that will offer the important classroom instruction. So I wanted to go to the second page, Sarah, please, and kind of tell you what is a registered apprenticeship. So you may have heard of internships, co-ops, work study, apprenticeships, even pre-apprenticeship. There's a lot of terms out there, and I know that can create a little bit of confusion. In South Carolina, the model that I've just explained to you and all of the success we've had has been with the registered apprenticeship model. And registered means that the U.S. Department of Labor approves the programs and that they're able to collect data and help award a credential upon completion that certifies that an individual is competent in a particular occupation. So how do you get that certificate from the U.S. Department of Labor? Why registered apprenticeship? As I mentioned, the program includes, you can see in this Earn and Learn, job-related education. So many times we know that people go to school, they study a lot, they study very important fields, but then they don't have a job. They're not able to obtain work. They don't have any relevant job experience. So job-related education, we're used to that. However, combining the job-related education with the supervised, and that's the mentor piece I talked about, with on-the-job learning, you have an individual who is able to practice, and not just practice, but master the skills that they learn in the classroom and apply those concepts to real-world experiences with a mentor available to help guide them. That's what makes this program unique. Not only are they getting that job-related education combined with the on-the-job training, but they're earning a wage. From day one, those apprentices are employees of the company, and that's fantastic because they get embedded into the company culture and they start to learn more, not just about the tasks they have to do, but what it's like to be an employee of that company every day. What are the values of that company? And the mentor also helps instill those values through every day of learning. As an employee, they do earn a wage, and there is a scalable wage progression. So there are incentives for apprentices as they move through the program. So that's really, those are the three the three different aspects of a registered apprenticeship program. And as I mentioned, the programs can be for 16-year-olds and up. 16 is the legal minimum age. And we do have a lot of youth apprentices in South Carolina. However, the majority are adults. I wanted to mention here on this fact sheet, you can see that there are incentives for companies that decide to participate. Not only are you going to obtain an individual who is highly qualified, who maybe want to stay with you for a very long time, reduce turnover, but also there is a $1,000 state tax credit that you can request. So you can see it circled up there, and that is a nice incentive, especially for smaller companies when you know, this is an investment of time, and the investment is really well worth it for the outcomes. The U.S. Department of Labor has studied some outcomes for registered apprentices and for companies, and I wanted to share those with you. In terms of, we have the tax credit, but the return on investment is very important. The U.S. Department of Labor has, for every dollar that a company invests in a registered apprenticeship program, there is about $1.47 return on investment. So there are a lot of incentives and benefits, not just for retaining employees and helping them gain the skills they need, financial benefits. It has also been determined that individuals who complete registered apprenticeships can earn $300,000 or more over their lifetime than an average person who doesn't do a registered apprenticeship. And the average income of a registered apprentice after they, or a person who after they complete their apprenticeship is about $70,000. So
Wow.
that is a pretty nice salary for somebody who, you know, it's even people who have doctorate degrees do not make that much after they finish school. So, or other professional degrees. So it is a nice salary to have, and the individual is really prepared to enter their employment and be successful. So there's just a sample of some of the companies that have participated. We have over 1,000, as I mentioned, 60 programs, and we have all different, some of them up here, some of the big names of companies. And every company can customize the program in any way they want. The CVS program looks very different than the Blue Cross Blue Shield or the Bosch program. So that is what is available to companies. They can really sit down with Apprenticeship Carolina at no cost and look at what are their training needs and develop a on-the-job training schedule, look at some coursework that would be required, and put together a program that would really address what their needs are for the company, because it won't be the same for every company. So just to summarize, below you have some great information on youth apprenticeship, but you can see all of the elements, again, that make up a registered apprenticeship. So I think this will be useful for you to see the different pieces that are put together to create this program. In the construction industry, we have about 60 occupations right now that are ready to be made into an apprenticeship program. So there's not a whole lot of work that you would have to do to get started. We have occupational templates that you could use, and I know working with Linda and other partners, this process could be seamless. So there's not a lot of work that the employer would have to do to get a program up and running with our support. And I believe we have about 81 sponsors, and these are the companies that have developed registered apprenticeships right now in construction in South Carolina. So that encompasses 60 different occupations. So there is a lot of variety, and you know, if one of those 60 isn't something that you're looking for, Department of Labor has approved over 1,000 occupations. So there's a lot of different options that you have to choose from. So those are a lot of the benefits I mentioned for the apprentice. And as I mentioned, with that job-related education piece, many of them are taking classes at the technical college, and some of them may already come with some training from other jobs they've had or classes they've taken elsewhere. So those are things that the company can take into consideration when hiring individuals. And there are other incentives that might be available to the individuals based on if they're a vet, if they're involved in any other state programs. There are a number of resources from the federal government that can support them with tuition costs and with other related costs. Also, if the job-related education is in collaboration with one of the technical colleges, there may be availability of scholarships to fund the tuition. So in South Carolina, we don't want for individuals to have to pay for that tuition. So the colleges working with Apprenticeship Carolina, we have many different resources to help support those individuals to reduce those barriers. So I think, at this point, there's a few other handouts that I can go through briefly just for your reference that can be shared at a later point. Sarah, would you mind putting up one of the other ones?
Amy, while Sarah is putting that up, could I ask you a question? There are a lot of the companies that were shown there are very large corporations. Most of the businesses around here have less than 25 employees, fewer than 25. What could you say to them?
Well, registered apprenticeship is for every type of company. We have some registered apprenticeships that only have 2 employees. They have the apprentice and they have the mentor. So this program is so easy to customize that you don't need to have 5,000 employees. Really, those 3 elements that are up on the screen now are the main elements that need to be included. So if you do have 5 employees and one of them is a supervisor who could be a mentor, you have what you need to get the program registered, as well as some other details. So the size of the company is really irrelevant. It's more so that you can provide all of these opportunities, the supervised on-the-job training, the mentor, the scalable wage, the job-related education, and you'll know that you will have a future employee with you, maybe even for life, because they will be obtaining college credits in many cases. So you have an individual who might start out in a very entry-level position with you, but they could grow and be, a manager on your team, and be part of your leadership team. So that's something you can look at, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. How can you help the individual grow and support their post-secondary education with that?
Thank you. You mentioned that if a company only has 2 employees, I've worked with a number of companies who were setting these up, and I have 2 of them that had 3 and 3.5 employees, and they set up very successful programs.
I was going to add too that you mentioned the list of 60 occupations that you already have in place for the construction industry. So I'm sure we would be glad to provide that to our members to see if there's something that you feel like you're lacking at your business, and we can definitely see if there's already a good fit, if time is an issue for you, because I think in the past people have been a little bit scared away by the administrative details in some cases of getting something like this set up. So knowing that we've already got some of those templates in place, that'll be very helpful in getting some apprenticeships set up, I think.
And that's one of the things that I do. I work with businesses to help them get those set up because we haven't had somebody actually working in our area for a while. I know that you're going to be bringing somebody on board very soon. Yes, very soon. But
very, very soon.
I'd be happy to work with you on the apprenticeships. Amy, what if a company would say, well, my business is unique. I don't do my tasks maybe the same way as somebody else, or our work processes are different. Does my apprenticeship have to look like one of my competitors' apprenticeships?
Absolutely not. So this program is 100% customizable, and those templates you mentioned, that's really just a starting point to kind of see what would be some of the benchmarks that for a typical program that would be included. But it is really up to the company to decide how that program needs to be structured. So there's really not, there are templates, but they're really just guidelines. And as Linda mentioned, she provides a lot of support, and she's a great resource. And we collaborate with Linda as well. And, once you get to that final piece, when you have all of your paperwork ready with, Linda's support, our support, the process to get it registered is very, very quick in South Carolina. So we do have that benefit of not a really long wait period. And once it's up and registered, we will come and celebrate the program with you and promote
Yes, you
it
do.
on social media. So we want to help support companies in our state, and we do all we can to do a lot of promotion on those events that you want to host and help support. And we also can help make connections with the technical college, with high schools and other organizations that might be providing some of the wraparound services to support your apprentices. So there's just a whole ecosystem of partners that both Linda and Apprenticeship Carolina can bring to the table to make this a seamless.
Now, one of the things we have to think about is this is somewhat time bound, isn't it? In that the programs need to be at least into the state by the end of May to be eligible for next year's tax credit. Is that correct?
So in terms of a tax credit, I know that there's a lot of things changing right now, so I won't speak on those logistics, but whether or not the companies you all want to take advantage of a tax credit is up to you, but I would definitely check to see if there are any changes in deadlines based on the current situation we're in.
And if somebody wants to apply for the tax credit, what do they have to do? Is it a very complicated process?
I believe there is a form to fill out, and that's something that your tax advisors can support you with. That's not something that Apprenticeship Carolina necessarily would work with you on, but we can definitely point you to the resources you need.
I can tell you that I have looked at the form itself, and there are maybe 5 or 6 questions that just require, they are very, very easy to work with. So all you do is you tell your accountant, hey, I've got an apprenticeship program. They write in 5 different numbers for you, and you've got your tax credit coming. Amy, what advice do you have for us right now in this time of COVID-19 in terms of apprenticeships?
Well, it's really a good time to start thinking about, once we are out and about, businesses are running, whatever the new normal is, this is a good time to plan. And if you are thinking about registered apprenticeship and you have some occupations in mind, some areas in which you have vacancies or you've had some recent turnover, we can work to help identify what are those occupations and kind of help you start thinking about how the apprenticeship would be set up. What would that on-the-job training look like? What components would it have? What courses might you want for somebody to have at the local technical college? What is the schedule for those courses? And really how you would map it out in at your company. Who would be a mentor? Who would be that person who is ready to supervise or who could learn to supervise? Apprenticeship Carolina does have some training materials for mentors that we could offer. And also, how would the program be structured? There are a few different models, time-based and competency-based. And I know in construction, it's more the time-based model. And those are some of the weeds that you would get into with the program development process. But how would you want it to be structured? Over how many years? And what would it look like? So those are some pieces that you can already get started with now with our support and start looking at some templates.
Okay, thank you. And South Carolina seems to have been very successful with the apprenticeship program over the years. I think it started here in about 2008. How has South Carolina, what have we done that makes the program so successful?
Definitely. It's that one-on-one customer service approach that we have. My team, as I mentioned, we're spread out across the state, and you have other partners such as Linda who are there to provide that support. It's one-on-one meetings to discuss your program, phone calls, video calls. That type of customer service support may not be available in other parts of the country. So you don't have to feel like you're searching on your own for templates, for questions. We're really here to help you get the program put together quickly and find the resources that you need. So I think having that support from the Apprenticeship Carolina consultants and then the availability sometimes of grant funding has helped make the program an overall success to have to create less work for the employer and more opportunity.
I was going to say, I always sort of think of things in a what can we do now kind of perspective. And so might be a great opportunity to figure out what a good amount of time would be to spend with an Apprenticeship Carolina consultant, either in the future in person when that new person gets hired on for this area, or via Zoom like this call right now, to set up some times to speak with people who might be interested. I know, for example, one specific electrician who was looking to hire a service electrician for a long time, and he just couldn't find someone to hire for that position. And as a result, this could be a good fit. And I think it's a really great fit for folks who are in those skilled trades areas like electrical, plumbing, that sort of thing. So they can kind of squire people along through the process of learning more about their trades and making sure that they're hitting those benchmarks. But I feel like this really gives employees a lot of dignity, and I think that's a very important aspect of it as well. It gives them a sense of pride in what they're doing, and as a result, I am all for apprenticeships. I want all of our members to get signed up for one if they need it. But it's just a matter of keeping going with making sure everybody knows about the programs and knows about the resources that are available both locally and on the state level from Apprenticeship Carolina.
And if anybody has any questions, I will be happy to answer them by email, by phone, by a Zoom conference call. I'll be happy to help you in any way that you need.
And same here. You have our webpage. You can see it on the bottom of that sheet. And I know that Sarah will be able to provide my email and contact information. So we will have a new apprenticeship consultant joining your area who will be based out of your area very, very soon. So I'll be very excited to announce and introduce you to that person. We're in a little bit of an interesting period now, but things will get settled very soon for us. So there's a lot more resources on our webpage and testimonials. You can actually watch some videos of signing days and read about other programs that have been very successful. So that should also be a good resource for you.
Thank you so much for your time today, Amy, and thank you, Linda. Linda, again, is the fearless leader of our Workforce Development Task Force here at the HBA. We're so grateful that she's put us in touch with Amy and Apprenticeship Carolina once again, to make sure that as many of our members as possible know about this extremely valuable resource to them.
It's been my pleasure. Getting to meet Amy has been a great resource for us all. So thank you so much, Amy.
No, thank you, Linda, for all of your support and for being there to help connect everybody. And Sarah and Meg, thank you again for this invitation. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Next time.